It's 6:32 a.m. in Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Hopefully by now you are awake, you are ready to go to work, and if you are running late, well, what can I say? It is what it is. Relax and stay tuned, because right now we have a conversation with two wonderful young women, Akila Marin and Regina Noel. Now, we did mention earlier that on the 12th of August, World Youth Day is taking place, and these ladies are coming forth with a charge that is going to change our education system, talking about increased support for students with disabilities. Ladies, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
It's wonderful to have both of you with us this morning. Now, before we dive into this conversation, because it is admittedly a bit of a heavy one, right?
Right.
Let's learn a little bit about Akila and about Regina. What are you two young ladies about?
So I am a communication specialist, and I've specialized in communication for social and behavior change. And what that means really is that I can use communication to get people to change their behavior, but also I can institute change on a societal level through communication as well. I started my interest in advocacy came about in about 2016 while I was studying and living in Jamaica. And I did some advocacy work there. And I realized that there was a need for people who have a voice, who's opinionated, who's bold, to speak up for persons in communities who may not necessarily be as bold or as vocal. And so that's why I'm involved in this and so heavily involved in advocacy as well.
Fantastic. I feel like you're a bit of a magician, I have to be honest with you. But that's amazing. Regina, good morning. Welcome to the show. Let's hear a little bit about you as well.
Well, currently I'm a psychology student at the University of the West Indies. I have a keen interest in children and their development, and if we really pay attention, a lot of times childhood development have a lot of impact on adults. So I think that advocacy for persons with disabilities and children specifically is very important to me as an individual.
Now, yeah, definitely. So we're looking at the future Trinidad and Tobago. Now, both of you just finished the Caribbean Youth Fellowship program. Can we just learn a little bit about that and how this has played a role in why you're here with us this morning?
Sure. So the Caribbean Youth Fellowship program, basically what it did is it brought 100 young people from 5 different Caribbean countries together, basically to enhance our skills in terms of policy writing and policy development. And it really opened our eyes in terms of what we can do from our level. A lot of times as young people, we want to do things, but we're not sure how, where, why. It seems a little bit confusing. So what they did is they brought leaders from across the Caribbean, from the United States, to speak with us about their journey, and then they took us through an intense 4-month course where we developed our own policy on different issues. So in Trinidad and Tobago, we had 2 cohorts. So we had 2 separate policies, but then Jamaica had 2 policies, Suriname had a policy, Dominican Republic, they had policies as well. So really it was giving us the theory, but also throwing us into the fire, kicking us off the boat and saying, swim.
Swim! I mean, this is the way that you learn, right?
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you what the process was like. I mean, you said it was intense. What was the process like for you, Regina?
Well, it was really interesting because we had a lot of hands-on experience, but they equipped us with the information necessary. And the CAPP and IRR really communicated with us throughout the entire process. So we could WhatsApp, email, throughout the process. Anytime we have questions on leaderships, even the persons who visited to give us info on leadership and their experience as leaders in the various Caribbean countries and in Latin America, they provided us with their email as well, so that we could bridge the gap that we might have in the Caribbean in terms of leadership and policy making, and that really helped.
Okay, so why was the development of, well, what is the diagnosis of developmental disabilities, why was that chosen for this?
So for us, it was a group consensus. We threw out a lot of different ideas in terms of what we wanted to write our policy about. And most of the persons in the group had some hand in education. And when we looked at it, we said, yes, we wanted to do something education related, but also we wanted to help a group of students that could sometimes be overlooked and who don't get as much attention. as other students, and that's why we went the route of developmental disabilities, because we feel like it's something that's important and people don't always know about, and if we could bring a voice to that and bring some attention to that, we can help to get them the help that they need so that they can actualize as people.
I'm glad that you mentioned it's not something that everybody knows about, because, I mean, what would you say is a hard and fast definition for developmental disabilities?
Developmental disabilities is a broad term because it involves the student that has a physical impairment, a learning disability, language disability, as well as behavioral problems. So a lot of people are aware of learning disabilities, the ADHD and stuff like that. But when we talk about the developmental disability, it includes students that might be blind. You know, these are children that still need to learn.
Yes.
And how are we going to integrate them into our system and include them so that they could probably have a university education just like me?
Agreed. Agreed 100%, because at the end of the day, everybody, of course, should have access to it, regardless of the situation.
Yes.
Now, talking about that, it goes in line with the United Nations World International Youth Day that's happening on the 12th of August. Now, I know that your team has chosen this day to meet with stakeholders to say, okay, let's review this policy, let's show you what we would like to propose moving forward in order to make these impactful changes on our nation and the youth's lives. Now, two questions. Number one, what made you decide, all right, World Youth Day is a good day to have this meeting? And the second is, what changes or what outcome are you expecting from this meeting?
So I will take the part about why we chose World Youth Day, and I'll let Regina answer what we think the outcome should be from this. So we are a commemorative society. We like to tie events to things that are happening, things that are important, and that's why when we looked at the calendar, we said, it's World Youth Day. It was a group of youth that came together to do this program, that actually wrote this policy and put the work in. And so we felt like it would be the perfect day for us to have a voice, or for our voices to be taken seriously with different stakeholders from both public and private sector. So even when we send the invitation out, it wasn't just come have a conversation with a group of people. It was come have a conversation with a group of young people that really want change, but also want your help and your guidance as the professionals and the persons who are actually in the field and working. We want you to help us to make a difference, and that's why we chose that day, really.
Wonderful. And what about the outcomes, Regina?
Well, on that day, we intend to have stakeholders who have hands-on experience working with children. So during the process of developing our policy, we recognize that there is existing policies for children with learning disabilities, developmental disabilities. But on that day, we want to know, how could we bridge the gap? How could we actually get things done? What is being done currently? What could we do better? So it's a forum whereby we have conversation. We meet with persons who are in the field, and we try to make Trinidad and Tobago a better society. And
I know that you two are definitely on the right track. Your team is on the right track, because Trinidad and Tobago, this is a big team. Let me tell you, if our studio was bigger, I think the whole team would definitely be here. Ladies, before we wrap this morning, two quick things. First of all, how can early detection help when it comes to this situation, and where can we get more information for anybody who will be interested in being a part of your cause?
So in terms of how early detection can help, a lot of times with developmental disabilities, there isn't a cure.
Okay.
However, the sooner you get involved and the sooner you give the right support, it means that you give that individual a better chance of being able to actualize. Really just meaning that you give them a better chance of being prepared for the secondary school system, tertiary level school system, and being able to function in society and not feel like an outlier.
Yeah.
So that when they apply for jobs, we understand that they have the skills and they know how to do the jobs that they apply for, and they don't feel intimidated because they learn differently, or they speak differently, or they respond to the world differently.
Definitely.
And that's why we want intervention from the primary school level, because at that level, we can say to students, we believe in you. You are different, but you are also beautiful, and you are capable of doing what we need you to do. You know, for now, we haven't established like a social media presence or anything like that right now. We're waiting until we have our stakeholders meeting before we go into that.
Okay.
But persons can definitely go to the Ministry of Education's website, where they have resources in terms of special education, where they can find out how you can become detected if you think your child has a developmental disability, what the diagnosis process would look like, and they can start getting involved in that way for now.
Thank you so much. Akila Marin, Regina Noel. This is the Now Morning Show. You are beautiful. Stay tuned. There's a lot more coming up.